Hi, I'm Seamless, and today I'm going to show you this kick maker. Quick little demo deal right there of setup and how it works, but oh boy, we're going to take this thing apart and I'm going to explain everything. So you saw that snare maker maybe, if you didn't go look at it, but that thing was pretty simplistic in comparison to this because I have discovered through that you can just apparently just make essentially a plugin UI on top of the on the control surface here, and actually caring a little bit about where things are. I have now a newfound respect for people who make actual plugins. You guys are the real heroes. Anyway, let's look about what's up. That was a sentence. Like the snare maker, there's sends and things into stuff like reverb and whatnot, but there's also this distortion module, but the primary generation is still a fundamental tone, a click, and a noise burst. Let's go over what they all do individually. Bam. Cool things, right? I think I might actually be getting an actual cold. It's that time of year. So over here, all the main stuff, like this is like the sort of the routing. There's routing involved. There's the main out, which is this level control here. And then there's the sends into the small reverb, the send into the big reverb. And over here is the send into the distortion. These guys are the things that actually control the transport of the thing. And the thing in this case is a harmer. It's just the one harmonic though. And you might be thinking that's pretty overkill to use a harmonic just for that. But yeah, it is. But the whole reason we're doing that is because the way that harmonic gives you control over the motion of harmonics and that kind of thing, even though it's just one, it allows me to have enough handles to actually have all of these articulate just the one thing. So for example, there are 2 speeds on this. Let's attack. Yep. Phase, range. Cool. So a kick sample is created out of a synth when you take a sine wave or any waveform really at all, but a sine wave, and make it go from really high to really low really fast. And then how fast it goes is the tone of how it works. Speed 1 here is how fast the initial click is on the motion of that big deal. And then speed 2 is this secondary kind of the doof after the fact. There it is. Needs some decay to be able to hear it. It can go as fast as the first speed and basically just complete the line, or it can take a while and kind of 808 a bit. And then over here we have the range, which controls the total range of the total pitch thing. So from how far to how low ultimately. And I say ultimately because the next one controls how far that second guy goes. And then we have attack and decay. Now, because this is the fundamental, and the idea is that we're going to build on top of it with more high frequency stuff, we can do things like make room for the higher frequency things by introducing some actual attack onto it. And that is just a literal attack on volume, but this is harmer, and I turned the ramping all the way down. And that's what's causing that teensy little bit of bit crushing you heard just then. And you can solve that with the low pass cut. The low pass cut. Low cut. Low pass. If you needed that to be the thing you're doing. However, though, there are fun effects that you can do while having the full range thing going and a whole attack. Do that whole deal. Even with a short range. You want to get this phase change involved. And that's a particular trick of just making the phase, the fact that the waveform starts on a clip, make the click for you. So a lot of times you can actually get even a whole kick, tone, and sound out of just a fundamental control on a synthesizer, that kind of thing. And this gives me the controls that I usually use to get the result. And over here we have saturation that's just for the fundamental. That was this wave shaper that's just here, that's just on there and hanging out. And there's the overall distortion for all the other stuff that's going to happen, but that's mostly going to be high frequency distortion. This is mostly for targeted low frequency distortion. And that is how you would use this to get yourself into like 808-ish territory. And then, getting the harmonic activity is part of it. And then the other part of it is just having the pitch motion be the thing that works. The way that's set up now, it's doing it okay. And then if I wanted to go the other way with it, it'd be the okay 909 it, right? Make it so that there's no pitch change. And you can get that control out of it too. So that's sort of the point of the way that this is laid out, that you're able to do that if you feel like it. So it's important to note that this becomes a sort of a pre-gain, because this is after the main output of this, which mix-wise makes it kind of annoying, but then they basically, like, this knob becomes the total mix knob for it. And usually when I have it off, I'll just have this all the way up, and then this becomes the mix again. So next step is the click. This guy is a citrus, and so is the other one too. This is just a noise burst, but this one has some FM shenanigans going on. And I introduced a truly terrible amount of decay in here because it helps to illustrate what's actually happening here. And the best way to make a fun click for a kick is to basically create just a harmonic mess of some kind and then make it really, really short. So the controls that are available to us are two different pitch controls, and this is the pitch of the main oscillator and then the pitch of the FM oscillator. The main oscillator has motion to it, though. The decay on here is the volume one, and over here we have tone, which is FM for the second oscillator, and FM in this case is being controlled by the actual main operator volume knob, which, if you remember, is a bipolar experience, and so that means that actually off FM is in the middle here. Depth is how far in the pitch motion there is on the first oscillator. Speed is how fast the pitch motion is. Phase 1 and 2 is just the starting phases of both the oscillators, and then there's a high pass and low pass cut. And so all of these are the parameters that are sensitive, that create sensitivity to the phase relationship of all the stuff, so that when it's really fast and clicky, when you have a really fast decay, it changes pretty much everything about them. With the intention that you can extremely carefully sculpt the whatever high frequency reality you want to layer on top of this junk. Now, this is a very colorful kind of response. It's a spectral kind of thing, and it's not perfectly even and linear and spectrally like weighted. And that's what noise is for. Like how specific that is versus how spread out this is. And noise is great. And this has a lot of the similar controls that this guy does in terms of just the envelopes. This is kind of like the snare window, that it has a directional control and it is a bandpass. So and that's how you kind of just color a noise up. And how all well this sounds together is mostly just like a little bit of trial and error, but on top of being able to give you the tools to create it, it's also about giving you the tools to solve the problems that it creates. Most of the time when you have a kick sample and you want to change things, and you're just kind of like, I'm going to EQ the thing that's there, it's possible to make a minor change, but it usually changes other things about it that you wish you didn't or couldn't or wouldn't. And this is doing it like this allows you literally to separate the things that generate not just the frequency area of response, but like the colored feeling of the individual parts in total. And gives you freedom to individually manipulate them without ruining them. The next bit is the distortion module itself. So there's the main outs on all the dudes, and then there's the sends. And the sends, when they're individually turned on, and then there's the amounts down here, how like the sends for them, they get turned and routed into the distortion module, which is this dude. So here's the fundamental tone being pushed through into the send of the distortion. And here's where the value of having the high pass and low pass cut high pass and low pass cut. I can still have the fundamentals activity, and I can directly color how long and how the weight of the multiplied content, because it multiplies the lower stuff by the distortion you create for it. And if you just remove that lower stuff, then it's not going to multiply it. It's pretty basic, and I like spectral control before distortion is basically how you have control over all tone forever. And that's how I'll use this to make kicks. Oh yeah, reverbs. On special with the reverb, on special, is its ability to route into the distortion. So this is just the regular, this is basically like room sound, right? And if you want to involve that at this level. A cool thing to do sound design wise is to also route it into distortion. And distortion, especially to reverb, does fun stuff to mid-side signals, like mid-side heavy signals. So that's also why there's this mid-side spread on just into the distortion. You saw those when we were in here looking at these. That's what this is for. This is the old stereo spreader. It's like the stereo shaper, only with less control, but it just has a straight-up separation like knob. And that's like all of the other mid-side faders, like these dudes. And reverb and that kind of thing. So that means that we can have our output reverb that has a stereo spread or not, and then the other one that doesn't in the distortion. It's for you have that kind of control at like this level, and a high pass, low pass cut, and all of them individually. There's no high pass, low pass on the reverb itself, but because there's a high pass, low pass cut into the reverb also. That's for all of them, and so that you can do things like not reverb bass if you don't want to, or reverb bass if you want to, or reverb only the bass if you want to. Like, outside that giant reverb, but that's mostly there just to have options. And honestly, it's just options. I like options. This plugin has options. Anyway, if you'd like to download this plugin, it's going to be available in the description of this video. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that fun stuff. And as usual, have a nice day.